Welcome to The Advocate's Voice, Personal Injury with David Maran.
Welcome to The Advocate's Voice, Personal Injury with David Maran, owner of Maran and Maran PC. My name is John Clements, and today's episode is Navigating E-Bike Injury Claims, What Riders Need to Know About Insurance and Responsibilities. So David, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much.
So let's dig into this topic. We know that e-bikes are growing in popularity. We know they're all over the place, but they also come with some unique risks. So the first question, are all e-bikes the same?
They are not. They are definitely treated differently in the eyes of the law. When this explosion of mostly electric vehicles came about, it came upon a longer history of first, of course, bicycles, then motorcycles, and then we seemed to jump to cars, probably because we couldn't make motors that small. And once we started to be able to do that, we had an motorized bicycle out quite some time ago, which was powered either by electricity or by a small gas-powered motor. This was a vehicle that could travel up to 28 miles per hour and needed to be registered. The driver needed to be licensed, and the vehicle needs to be insured, and that remains today. There's now a class of e-bikes called low speed, both the electric scooter and the electric bicycle. I'll tip off on where I really believe the safest choice is going to be for a low speed electric bicycle, primarily because, like the bicycle, you are still treated as a pedestrian in the eyes of the law. And what does that mean? It means that there's likely going to be insurance coverage to pay your bills and coverage that would be available if the person who hits you flees the scene or doesn't carry any insurance. You're going to have some additional protections if you're treated as a pedestrian as opposed to the operator, basically of the motorcycle, a non-pedestrian. All low-speed electric scooters are not considered like bicycles, electric bicycles. You have to have decent health insurance to cover your medical bills in that situation. So the differences are who might pay your bills and whether you need to have the vehicle registered, you need to be licensed, and insurance needs to be obtained.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I actually wanted to dig into one of the things you mentioned about medical bills. So there seems to be a lot of confusion out there right now about who's responsible for those bills when there is an e-bike accident. So could you just clarify how you even determine responsibility in these kinds of cases?
Excellent. That's a great question. New Jersey has statutes or laws that created PIP, or personal injury protection. And this used to be called the no-fault scheme. It means that it doesn't matter whose fault the accident is. You're required to go to your own insurance company, if you have one, to have your bills paid. Now, if you were walking, you're a pedestrian. If you're on a bicycle, you're a pedestrian. If you're on a low-speed electric bicycle, you're still considered a pedestrian. One of those settings, you would be covered by your own or the family policy in your household. If you don't have an automobile in your household, then the state would step in and provide excellent PIP coverage through NJ PLEGA, which is our department, which provides funding for medical bills in the right circumstances. That is far more predictable than having the right health insurance, enough health insurance, deductibles, copays. The PIP scheme, or no-fault scheme, has been a wonderful way of having your bills paid after some type of motor vehicle accident. And that's what this is, a motor vehicle accident. If you are not entitled to PIP because you are not considered a pedestrian, again, you've got to go to your health insurance to pay your bills. The only other option might be is if you have that electric motorcycle and you're required to buy insurance anyway, see if you can buy medical coverage that would be primary and pay before you hit your health coverage. That's an option.
Okay, so, and we're talking specifically about the low-speed e-bikes. Those would be covered under an auto insurance coverage, is that correct?
You mean buying the coverage for the electric motorcycle, or do you mean the difference between the low-speed electric bicycle and the low-speed electric scooter?
Yeah, actually, I think that's where I'm getting confused is the difference between those two because it sounds like one of those would be covered or potentially be covered under your existing auto insurance if you have it, and one may not be. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's right. For PIP purposes, for paying your medical bills, for uninsured motorists, it would still be present and available to you. So that coverage is still present. And what do I mean by that? Uninsured motorists pays for the driver who flees the scene, a hit and run, or who stays at the scene, reports to the police, gives their information, and as it happens, their coverage is been denied, generally by the insurance carrier who at one time had provided insurance. Those people don't have insurance, and that's when you make a claim first to your own policy if you have it. If you don't have that, then to the household family policy, and that would be it. Those would be your options. If there's no policy in the household, once again, that's NJ Pliga. But seeking money for an uninsured driver, you must provide a notice of intention to the fund within 180 days. But you can read all about that on the NJ Pliga site. NJPLIGA, just run that in Google, you'll come right up. I think it's njguarantee.org. To tell you the truth.
I'm sure it's a great resource to check out. I do want to step back just a moment because we're talking about insurance and accidents and things. And typically if I was just on a traditional bicycle, I wouldn't necessarily have these worries. So can you talk for a little bit about why e-bike accidents might be potentially more dangerous than just your traditional bicycle accident?
Okay, absolutely. I think it's mostly that they go faster.
Mm-hmm.
You're more likely to be on roads that are also populated with cars as opposed to a pleasure ride out in the park. You're likely to be using it to commute at some level, to school, to work, to the store. That's what makes these electric bicycles, the low speed ones, really wonderful. Gives you so much versatility, especially in a densely populated area where even parking can be challenging. Never mind the cost of a car, insurance, maintenance, and so on. This is definitely a much more inexpensive alternative than funding a car. So you're more likely to use it more often. You're more likely to be traveling faster on a road with other traffic. I want to emphasize as loudly as I can, please always remember to wear a well-made helmet, both yourself, your children, anyone you know. I mean, if there is an accident and you strike your head, your chances of surviving that accident are a million times better if you're wearing a well-made helmet. If the helmet has saved you from one accident before, replace it. It shouldn't be used a second time after a hard impact. But a helmet will protect your most vital organ, that's your brain. And absolutely wear a helmet. There's a visual that you'll see in portions of this lecture that show you that sometimes more helmets are not even required, and that's scary. Certainly, anyone 17 years and under is required to always wear a helmet, but adults on the low speed, both the scooter and the electric bicycle, apparently 18 years and older, are not legally required to wear a helmet. Now, those two vehicles cannot drive past 20 miles an hour. I can tell you that an accident with a 5,000-pound automobile at any of these speeds can be fatal. Please ask everyone to wear a helmet, even the older people who are not required to. It's really essential. Number one, safety measure, start with a helmet. Number two, learn the rules of the road, follow them. You are required to obey the rules of the road, just as if you're in a car, in any motor vehicle. So if all those rules of the road are online, read them. Either the driver's manual, watch a video or two, get your parent to teach you, but learn the rules of the road and be alert all the time where you're supposed to be. If you see a stop sign, it's there for a reason. Stop signs are shown to be even safer than intersections with traffic lights. Completely stop. Look as far as you can both ways. Make sure it's absolutely clear for you to go, and then go.
Absolutely. And I can tell you is the first time I got on an e-bike, to your point, it goes a lot faster than you think it goes, and it's a lot heavier than you think it is. So that was a learning moment for me. Like, oh yeah, helmet is important. Like this is a motorized vehicle. I need to take precautions as such. So I wanted to get back a little bit to the insurance discussion. It sounds to me like it's common for people to ride these bikes without considering the insurance needs. And so we have talked about this, so I wonder if you could just give a basic recap of what should riders know about how important insurance is before they hit the road in their e-bike.
Well, you're not required to buy insurance for the low speed vehicles, either the scooter or the electric bicycle. You're required to buy insurance for the electric motorcycle, not motorcycle, sorry, electric bicycle. Yeah, of course we know there's a motorcycle. No, not a motorcycle. An electric bicycle, it's on the visual, or motorized bicycle as it's called on the visual. It can go up to 28 miles per hour, which is really quite fast. In a city, it's almost invariably 25 miles an hour, the zones. School zones, always 25 miles an hour. And this says you can go potentially go faster than that. That vehicle requires registration, it requires insurance, and it requires you to be licensed. I don't believe it's a full motor vehicle license. I believe it's something for bicycles, and you can even obtain it under the age of 18, I believe. But I went online. I tried to purchase an insurance policy which seems to cover what they're demanding. And I'll be honest, I couldn't find any that were ready to purchase that clearly spelled out what they cost and what coverage they provided. If you can reach a company that will write that coverage, inquire what additional health coverage would cost, because that may be an option for you depending upon what kind of health coverage you have. If you have wonderful health coverage, I guess you don't need it. But if it's not that expensive and you're a little concerned about your health coverage, of course, buy it. What I'm worried about is that few of us are used to registering our bicycles. Some towns require it, but it doesn't seem to be. If that law exists, I don't know whether people follow it. I don't see kids getting little stickers on their bikes anymore, like I remember doing as a kid. So start there. If you're not used to getting that silly label for your bicycle, that somebody looked at it, and maybe tested the brakes, I don't know that people would be inclined to bring that motorized bicycle in to be registered. Now, if you don't bring it in to be registered, you're certainly not going to go run out and buy insurance. And in New Jersey, if you're driving a car that doesn't have insurance, there are horrible consequences for you if you're in an accident, even if the accident is not your fault. In New Jersey, you're required to carry insurance coverage on that motor vehicle. Failure to do so will prevent you from having any claim whatsoever. No medical claim, no claim for personal injury or pain and suffering, no claim whatsoever. Even if you are killed, even if you are killed, your estate has no claim. Now, I don't know what the court's going to do with the requirement for insurance on motorized bicycles. But if they stand by what they do with cars, the consequences will be the same. No medical, no coverage, no claim. Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. And I just don't know what the courts in New Jersey are going to do. That's not been looked at yet.
Yeah, and that was my next question, was for these motorized bicycles, what were the complications? It sounds like we're still in the process of finding out, really. So if I have a motorized bicycle, I probably don't want to be the person who is in the middle of the process of finding that out. It would probably be better for me to reach out to someone like you or an insurance company to get a handle on it in advance.
Yeah, that makes sense. I would try to see if you can purchase the insurance. Actually, I would encourage you to find that out long before you even buy it, because my number one recommendation is going to be the low-speed electric bicycle, because that's the one that is still considered a bicycle. You are still considered a pedestrian. There's going to be medical coverage, and there's going to be coverage for an uninsured vehicle. And then concentrate on safety. Helmet, rules of the road. If you're out at dusk, or hopefully not after dark, bright colored or reflective clothing, and then an awareness, situational awareness, because cars tend sometimes not to see us. They don't see motorcycles sometimes. They don't see cars sometimes, but you're much smaller. And that means you have to be more aware than usual.
So David, I'm just wondering, we've talked a lot about theory and the law and different things that we can do. Do you have any real life examples of cases where maybe someone had insurance with their e-bike or didn't have insurance with their e-bike and it impacted the settlement or an outcome of some kind of claim?
As far as that insurance for the motorized bicycle, I've never seen a policy. And thankfully, I've not been involved with a case involving such a vehicle. I think that vehicle mostly existed before this latest, let's call them a crop of low-speed electric scooters and low-speed electric bicycles. I think that classification, especially because it included small gas-powered versions, is somewhat older. And I'm just not seeing them in my cases. I am seeing, however, the scooters and the electric bicycles. And even with the low-speed electric bicycles, the insurance carriers are dragging their feet in doing the right thing and paying the bills. So all I can say is you really need to be somewhat aggressive in answering all their questions, providing all their documentation. Certainly they're going to want to see pictures of the electric bicycle. If you have a receipt or documentation on everything about it, from the strength of the motor through the pedals and so on, everything, you preserve that and you present it to the insurance company so they hopefully quickly realize that we are dealing with a low-speed electric bicycle. You are considered a pedestrian and they start paying your bills.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so just as a means of kind of wrapping it all together, you've convinced me, first of all, low speed e-bikes with a helmet, being safe is the way to go. So thank you for that.
That's the one.
Yeah. So again, thank you, David, for joining us today. And thank you to the audience for tuning in to the Advocate's Voice, Personal Injury with David Maran, owner of Maran and Maran PC. To connect with his team, head to njmalpractice.com. And if you enjoyed this episode and learned something like I did, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, leave a review. That all helps our channel grow. And until next time, have a great day.
Thank you, Joe. Good day.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.